because the marshal. Let's play this out. Let's play this out differently. Let's say you got there and you realize you have no shirt. You forgot to pack in a shirt. Let's say the person you're staying by has shirts, and let's say the host is not home. But you're forced. You're mamish forced. So you can go to shul without a shirt. You're mamish forced. So you decide to help yourself and use the host's shirt. Does that give you right to use the shirt?
Shosh Lamidas.
Shosh Lamidas is a cousin, same lab, the rice, the same everything. So you're really not forced to be over that lab. So here too, the fact that you bought it, so you're forced. Okay, so you're forced, but the same thing, you're Shosh Lamidas. You're not allowed to do it. You like.
But it's on the meicher to know that that's a strong possibility to happen. So he's taking responsibility for such a matter.
First, it's not a strong possibility to happen.
He's using a wearing clothes, and that they're going to notice the mum while they're wearing the clothes. Yeah, anytime there's a mum, the meicher knows that the mum is going to be found when the person's wearing it. It's not going to find the mum.
Well, when the person is being mishtamish, even in the clothing, so you take off his shirt and put on another shirt. He should know that he's in Florida on vacation, only has one shirt. Right?
But when you even consider
how many you have only one shirt?
Look, you'll be in the restaurant. You didn't notice it when you put it on.
When you consider that,
I know. So you figure why we didn't take it off. Okay, but in the case of this ketchup was by a horse, okay, we could talk about it. But I don't want. I was going to focus on something else entirely, Rabbi Isai, and that is Midu Mishkal Minyan, and that's Sif Aleph, and that I just needed this as a little of a backdrop, but that's Sif Aleph, and Sif Aleph deals with when you buy something and you were shortchanged in an amount. I bought, I don't know, a dozen bagels, and I came out with 11. Whatever it was. I got shortchanged in a number. Nothing's defective, everything is good, just not enough. I purchased a property and it was supposed to be 22,000 square feet and it came out to be only 21,000 square feet. What do I do now? When I'm shortchanged on a number, what's the halacha then? That's what I want to focus on. And we'll give you like a standard situation. I don't know if anyone is bored, but if anyone's bored, you could count tissues in the tissue box. So when it says on it the count is 200 tissues, the 300 tissues, you count them, you'll see it's not 300, it's not 200 like they say. Yeah. If anyone tried it, you could try it now. After the you have nothing to do, you could try it and count. And in fact, like in a 200... Well, no, it's not by weight. You take that tissue box. It says 200 count or 300 count, whatever it is, and if it doesn't say by weight on it, and you'll see that when they say 200 tissues, there's 198, and when there's 300 tissues, there's 297. It sounds funny, right? No, so I'll tell you the reason why. It's because by law, since you can't be exact, it's very hard to be exact, so they had to create a law. So the law was that you're allowed to be off by 1%. So they are so exact, they're always off by that 1%. So because they want to shortchange you that 3 tissues, and after selling 10 boxes, it's 30 tissues, 100 boxes, it's 300 tissues, they just gave 1 box. So that's how they go, and the mom is very exact. So when you have obviously no one apparently is bored here. Okay, but I'm a guy like me is like a bored guy, so you can't count it, you'll see that it's off. I don't know what the Yiddish companies do now that the Yiddish companies start making tissues. I don't know, Aspen and the like, but that's how it is by the Goyish companies. They have a certain formula how much you're allowed to be off, and they capitalize that to the like mamish so exact. Okay, so that's Midu Mishkal Minyan. These type of situation, when you have Midu Mishkal Minyan, what's the halacha? When you're buying an amount and it's short either on weight, it's short on number, it's short on size, what's the halacha? So there the Gemara says, if you have something short, but Midu Mishkal Minyan, it's a tois, and it's a mekak tois, and it's koiza. And unlike the alumni done already? Good. Unlike that there's up to a variable, up to a shtus, you're allowed to be off up to a shtus and still be considered a good mekak, and you can't claim a no. Over here it's not like that. If you off even something less than a shtus, I sold you 100 nuts and you got 99, 1% off, or like the tissue case, that 1% is grounds for something. We'll talk about what the something is, but there is no mechila. We don't say that you're moichel. The Gemara says it's choiza. Amar Rava kol davar shebemidah v'mishkav v'shaminyan. I feel the box mekdei I know is choizer. And there's a machlekes Rishonim, a major machlekes Rishonim, many different pshatim. I'm only going to share with the Olam the two basic pshatim that are halacha. What the taich of the word choizer is. The first sheet is the Shitas Rashba, and the Rashba says choizer means choizer the tois. The tois is choizer. The hainu that we prorate the deal. If I paid $3 for that tissue box, it's supposed to have 300 tissues in it, and it came out to be 297 tissues, so it was off on 3 tissues, 1%, so we'll discount the CO by 1%, and instead of me giving you $3, I'll give you $202.97. We prorate it based on what's off. If it's something that's proratable, clearly, for example, I go into a store and I wanted to buy a suit size 42, and they sell me a suit size 40. We don't say, okay, it's a good sale, but we'll prorate it. We'll give you off 2% of the price of the suit. That doesn't work because I can't wear a 40 suit. I need a 42 suit. But if something is proratable, something has value to its portion as much as to the entirety, 297 tissues work just as well as 300 tissues. It's just a numbers game. It's just a matter of numbers. And then we could prorate the deal, and the toyos is chayza. We give back the difference. We prorate the deal. The other shita is the shitas Haramban, and the Ramban learns that chayza means chayzer hamekach. If you off by anything, the mekach is chayza. Off by 1%, it's grounds for mekach toys. Just like by mum is a mekach toys, over here too, it's grounds for mekach toys, and that's it. That sale is over. However, the Ramban has a different idea that it's not always a mekach toys. He introduces another concept, and he says that if it's something that's efshar lahashlim, you have the right to be mashlim. That is, if I go to the seller and say, you only gave me 297 tissues, you off on 3, so it's a mekach toys, the seller could counter back and say, hey, 1 second, you're missing 3 tissues? No problem, here's 3 tissues. And I made you whole. You're claiming that you're lacking an amount, I'll make you whole. You're missing that 1 nut of the 100? No problem, here's another nut, and you're good to go. So according to Ramban, if something that's possible to fill up, you have the right to fill it up, to be mashlim, and then you're good to go.
What about Tevet? We made him go back and deal with that.
Yeah, that we don't. That's not a grounds for mekach toys. There's no compensation for that, and we're going to take you even to the next step. You'll see there's even more teich in a second. Hold on. So again, according to the Rashba, we prorate the sale. According to the Ramban, it's a mekach toys, but the seller has the right to make you whole. Now, the simple reading of the Ramban is that the seller has to make you whole. The seller has to give you the 3 tissues. However, according to the Drisha and the Nesivis and others, the seller doesn't have to give you 3 tissues. He gives you 3 pennies, and he tells you, go buy yourself 3 tissues with 3 pennies. It's a penny a tissue. Here you are, here's your 3 pennies, and now you go buy 3 tissues. So what about the tircha then? Still, that's not an excuse. They have the right. The seller has the right to now give you a credit enough that you could make yourself whole.
That's only things that are mostly to be sold. In other words, a tissue box might be sold as a set. It might not have 5 boxes. It's just giving a dum.
If you can't make yourself whole, then you can't make yourself whole. But
Tissue box, but you're not getting a tissue.
So you can never get that. I don't know. But let's talk about nuts, things that are sold by weight or whatever it is. I went to the store. I wanted 6 bananas. I came home with 5. Fine, no problem. Here's whatever it is, 25 cents, and buy yourself another banana, whatever it is. So you could be made whole since you have the ability to make yourself whole. So then now we're good to go. So if I can't make you whole, for example, let's say the suit story, I wanted to buy a 42 and you gave me a 40, or I needed a property, a certain size, because I want to build a new kollel and I need mamish that size because Baruch Hashem, we were mamish expanding and exploding here and there's no way to walk through the shul, so we need a little larger. And then, okay, fine, well, yeah, I told you it was 30,000 square feet, but it's really only 18,000 square feet. What am I going to do with that? I can't make myself whole. What am I going to do? I can't take a piece from next door neighbors. No one's giving it to me, so I have nowhere to make myself whole. I can't tell me, okay, so take 18,000 here and then take 12,000 across the street. That doesn't work. You can't build a building like over a street, over a bridge. Like how am I going to work? So if it's something that's not solvable, so then that will be grounds for mekach tois. But if I can make you whole, I give you that money. That's enough to make you whole.
That's the case of Machlokes Rambam and Rashba. So what's the case of Machlokes Rambam and Rashba?
Oh, so where's the machlokes? So let's talk about a machlokes. Where's the machlokes in Ramban and Rashba? So first, a simple machlokes is if it's not efshel hashlim, you wanted 30,000 square feet, you got 29,000 square feet. Let's assume that that's enough to still build your dream kollel, right? Let's just say. So according to the Rashba, we'll prorate the deal. According to the Ramban, nothing doing, it's a mekach tois. You were shortchanged. I can't make you whole, it's a mekach tois. But I want to show you that there's really another nafkamina, even when it is solvable. For example, I sold you 100 nuts for $100, $1 a nut. And you only got 99. So according to the Rashba, you pay $99, you prorate the deal, I give you $1 back. But what happens if COVID hit and now nuts went up in price and now a nut is $2 a nut? So according to the Rashba, you still only get your $1 back. We prorate the initial deal. The deal was 100 nuts for $100. You get back $1 because now you're paying $99 for 99 nuts, and that's perfectly fine. According to the Ramban, really it's grounds for a mekach tois. What stops the mekach tois is what we call hashlama. I'll solve the problem, I'll make you whole. Well, today, to make you whole costs $2. I can't give you $1 and say, go make yourself whole. $1 can't buy a nut anymore. So I need to give you $2 to make you whole. So according to Ramban, I'll then have to give you $2 instead of $1. So it's a simple nafkamina between the Ramban and Rashba. In the Ramban, really it's a mekach tois. We don't prorate the sale. I have to give you money to make yourself whole. Well, whatever it costs. If it goes up in price, I'll give you more. Goes down in price, I give you less. Whatever it takes to make you whole. According to Rashba, we just prorate the initial sale. So it's a different lumdis, and it therefore has a different nafkamina.
The Rashba only agrees to this svara. It's different than a kli that has a mum because the fact is that it's easily proratable. I put 100
Good.
nuts.
So
So the reason why you could prorate it is because
Good.
they're shava, and I just gave you 97.
Good.
So you can get 3 more. It's not a big deal. But if it changes, the price changes.
No. Rashba's not talking about what you could get out there. Rashba says that a person, when he buys 100 nuts, doesn't need an exact 100. If there are people on the diet that they eat 28 nuts a day and he calculated by 4, so they need exactly, we could talk about it. He needs exactly 112 nuts for 4 days. I got it. But it's not like that. But it's 97 nuts does justify the job as 100 nuts, just I got 97%, that's all. So nothing to do with I'll buy. I'll never be able to buy, there are no nuts to be had anymore in the world, and still you prorate the deal and we're good to go, going to the Rashba, Machenkin to the Ramban. But I want to share with the Olam one more basic nafkamina between the Ramban and the Rashba. It's the Yisodistic nafkamina, and watch this, Rabbi Say. We mentioned the halacha that if I buy an item that has a defect and I use the item, if I knew about the defect, it's a mechila. Because how could I use somebody else's item without its permission? It's a shol shlem midas. Must be I was meichel. And on the side, Rav Moshe says, and even if the person tainis that he was a gazlan and he didn't mean to be meichel, he's not neman, everyone has a cheskas kashrus, he would never do such a thing. Memela, it's bleibs a mechila. That's by mum. And what's by midu mishko minyan? So the Bach says, by midu mishko minyan, it's the same thing. That if somebody, after he noticed that he was shortchanged, he didn't get his 100 nuts, he only got 99, but he's chalishing, he wants to eat the nut, so he starts eating one nut, he starts eating what he purchased, the Bach says, that's it, it's done, you just moichel, and you cannot taina anymore. You can't go back to the cell. If anything, you are done. You're done. Because you are moichel, since you mishtamish with this item, you are done. Just like by mum, if you mishtamish, bleibs a mechila, so too over here, by midu mishka minyan, if you start using it, it's over, it bleibs a mechila.
So you're required to, you buy 1,000 nuts, you're required to count them when you go home first?
No, you're not mechuyev to count it because you could assume that they're fine. So you don't have to. Although tissues, I'm telling you right now, is not fine. That's I'm giving you notice. But yeah, nuts you could assume is fine, and then until you discover the problem. We're only talking about, by the way, by mum also. You're allowed to use the item until you discover the mum. It's just once you discover the mum, you can no longer use the item. If you do, it bleibs a mechila.
Even in the Rashba or only in the Ramban?
Oh, very good. 1 second, we're getting there.
If you use it, and let's say it gets ruined because it wasn't fit for use, so there's a defect with it, and you bring it back to now a broken item, do you owe him anything if you benefited from it?
Oh, so that's a halacha later on. We're going to get to Sif Tezav. I leave that up to Rabbi Blazer to deal with Hishtamshis. Good. So now, by midu umishkala minyan, the Bach says if you use it, it's a mechila. Many achroinim jump on the Bach, and they say that this can't be. It doesn't make sense. Bishloim by mum, where there's a defect and it's grounds for a mekach toyis, so then retroactively it's not mine, it's yours, it's a seller's. So how could I use a seller's item without his rishus? I'm a shosh midas. But by midu mishkol minyan, whether we go like the Ramban or we go like the Rashba, the sale is final. For example, according to the Rashba, we prorate the sale. So if we prorate the sale, these 99 nuts are never going back to you. You're just going to give me credit, a discount. Well, prorate the sale. 100 nuts is $100, 99 nuts is $99. But these 99 nuts are mine for keeps forever. So I'm allowed to use these nuts. These nuts will never go back to the seller. So by me using it, why should that be considered a mechila? And even in the Ramban, they say that since you're mechuyev to be mashlim, since when you purchase something and it came out short, the seller's mechuyev to adjust and give me money to compensate that I should be able to make myself whole. So again, these 99 nuts are never going back to the seller. So then why should a shtamshus be a mechila? That's what they ask in the Bach, and they bleib shre in the Bach. And they give a...
You don't have to go into the word mechila. The sale is gomor.
The sale is...
You have to go into mechila, but the sale is a good sale. It's complete.
The sale is complete, right? Correct. Without mechila, I'm saying right. Yeah, I'm just saying that since it's done, and either because you prorate or because you mashlim, so then what's going on? Why should a shtamshus be considered mechila if I'm using my item, not your item? And they ask even more, just to prove this concept that you can't run with a shtamshus, because by Ainah, Rabbi say, if you recall by Ainah, if you're shortchanged, you're overcharged exactly a shtos, the halach is the mekach is kayim, and you machzir the Ainah. So let's say I paid $700 for a $600 item, the mekach is final, just the seller has to give me back $100, the Ainah. And what happens if I use that item after I discovered I was overcharged? And I didn't go back to the seller yet. What's the halacha? The Ritva says, my ishtamshus is not a mechila. Because since the sale is final, I'll for sure keep the item. I just could claim from the seller the $100, so my shtamshus is not a mechila. Bishlam, if you charge me $750 for a $600 item, so you charge me more than a shtos, so it's grounds for mekach toys. Then if I use the item, it's a mechila, because I plan on giving it back. It's more than the shtos. But if it's the exact shtos that the mekach is came, and you just have to credit me for what you overcharge, a shtamshus is not a mechila. So how come the Bach is saying that a shtamshus is a mechila? And to add fuel to the fire, just one more, is that if you look in the Rambam, it's clearly the Rambam didn't hold like this. Because the Rambam was the one who introduced to us the concept that a shtamshus is a mechila. And he goes like this: Sif Aleph is midu mishkol minyan. Here he doesn't mention hishtamshus is a mechila. Sif Gimel, he starts with mum, halacha Gimel, and he says, mum is a mekach tois, but if you use it, it's a mechila. Why didn't he introduce that concept two halakas earlier, by midu mishka minin. Clearly, the Rambam held that by midu mishka minin, if you use it, you're not moicha. There's no mechila. Mashaking only by mum when you use it as a mechila. So they bombed the back. What is going on? What are you saying the back that Ishtam is a mechila? Why is Ishtam is a mechila? So, to which I believe the answer is that these Achroinim, for some reason, Nemdon, they thought it was Pashut, that not only in the Rashba is the sale final, but even in the Ramban the sale is final, and the seller is forced to be mashlim. So therefore, since the sale is final, why is Ishtamshus a mechila? Lani's daiti, it's not the case. Lani's daiti in the Ramban, at least, just in the Ramban, it's really a mekek toys. It's an option for the seller to block the mekek toys by being mashlim. Should the seller stand on ceremony and say, I am not being mashlim, because in Tai, carry through with the mekek toys, you'll undo the sale retroactively. Because think about it, Rabbi, say, how can I force the seller to be mashlim? With what din? What chiv does the seller have to be mashlim? Can I even create a kinyan to force him to be mashlim? I can make a shibit aguf, but that's not what I did. I bought 100 nuts. It came out to be short. When was the seller mechayiv himself that he's going to be mashlim? So just like Lamar, if I give you money to buy a car and you back out, you don't have to give me a car. It might be mishapara. But if I don't have a kinyan, nothing's cost. So where do I have a kinyan on those future nuts that I'm missing? Where do I have a, I mean, it's a dovashal b'olim. Even the seller doesn't have these nuts. It's in the store. So I'm making a kinyan that the seller has to give me the nut that's in the store. It doesn't make sense. How does this work? I remember I spoke to Rizal Nechemya Goldberg Zatzal, and he told me also, he agrees that there's no chiv on the seller to be mashlim. We're taking on of the Sheva Kohen. The Sheva Kohen holds otherwise. The Sheva Kohen holds that there is a chiv on the seller to be mashlim. But at least in suggesting in the Bach that the Bach held that there was no chiv to be mashlim. Having said that now, Rabbi Isai, so let's play it out. I come to you and I say, you're short a nut. You could turn around and either make me whole or say, you know what, you're right. It's a mekek toys. Give me back my 99 nuts. Since the seller could do that, so how could the buyer then go ahead and use even one nut? So then the shtamshis is a mechila. The Bach held that you can't force the seller. So the Bach held like the Ramban, which is Pashas what the Bach went with, because Beis Yosef went with the Ramban. The Bach held like the Ramban that you can't force me to give that nut. So then, if that's the case, the 99 nuts aren't for sure mine. So if you use it as a mechila. In the world of the Rashba, like you want to suggest, that will be a nafkamin. In the world of the Rashba, you prorate the sale no matter what. So then, Ishtamch is not going to be a mechila. But in the world of the Ramban, that it's not automatically made whole. I don't have to be mashlim, so then you're not guaranteed to keep your purchase, your items, your nuts, so then how do you use them? If you use them, that's going to be a mechila. The Rambam doesn't mention the Shamshas and Mechila because the Rambam, according to many Rishonim, goes like the Rashba. So he didn't have the Shamshas and Mechila by Mido Mishkaminin, only by Mum. But the Rambach went with the Ramban, and in the world of the Ramban, his Shamshas will be a Mechila.
Both would agree, the Ramban and the Rashba would agree that the Moicher has the option to say, okay, I'm going to be...
No, according to Rashba, there's no option on the Moicher. It's automatically prorated. That's the Rashba. You prorate the deal. When I buy 100 nuts for $100, it's as if I'm buying 99 nuts for $99, 98 nuts for $98, $97 for $97. I'm buying just per nut. It's prorated the sale. So Mamela, it's guaranteed that the sale is going through. Now, let me share with you, Rabbi Isai, we're at the end here, but let me share with you, how do we paskin? Do we paskin like the Ramban or we paskin like the Rashba? So the Shita Mukabetis, he has a Chuvah Sefer called Rabbeinu Betzalel Ashkenazi, Chuvahs Rabbeinu Betzalel Ashkenazi. There he says it's a Sveika Dedina. There is no Achra. In fact, Achroinim, the Paiskim have a machlokes how to teach the words of the Machaba. Does he mean the Ramban? Or does he mean the Rashba? You look, the Beragoyli says one way, the other Achroinim said the other way. Just Pasha, there is no Achra. So let me share with you a true story. We'll end off with this story. Stories like this. The story happened in Lakewood 20 years ago, more. Person built a house, he's moving into a new house. Moving in at the end of the week. Of course, in order for him to live in a house, he needs shades up. So Baruch Hashem, he ordered shades. Windows have different sizes, but it's fine. He ordered shades from a shade company. It was in the summertime. You'll see why that's important. And he ordered shades from a shade company, and the shades were delivered at the end of the week, like Thursday night, Friday, and they were being hung on Friday. They had the guy to come down Friday to hang the shades like this. He'll have shades for Shabbos. He'll have his privacy. He can live in the house. And when they start opening up and seeing the shades, his house had 34 windows, and only 16 shades were delivered. So he could figure out an eighth, if he could use these 16 shades, he could figure out to put them up in like the prime places, the dining room, the living room, the bedrooms, and he'll be able to live in the house Shabbos, somewhat in a privacy setting. So, but he didn't have all the shades. And if you're going to use some of them, what's he going to do? So he immediately calls the seller and tells the seller, by the way, you're supposed to deliver me 34 shades. You didn't come through. You only delivered me a portion of the shades. When am I getting the rest of the shades? I need them. What can I use the shades in the meantime, the ones that you did deliver? But in the olden days in Lakewood, it's like probably like North Miami today, it's like we weren't so into business and everything was like chilled out massive. So when it came to the summer, they went up to the weekend to the country. Store was closed Friday. It's happens. Even today, Lakewood runs on a different system. 3:30, the city's closed. Like if you need anything done, I have a nephew, he has a mortgage broker, he actually is in Surfside. I was there last night, and he says like Lakewood is like a world of its own. Come 3:30, you can't get anything done in Lakewood, because all the ladies go home with the kids. No, that's it. The businesses are basically at a standstill. So fine. So came Friday, the seller wasn't to be reached, because the seller went up to the mountain. Store's closed Friday. That's it. It's done. Now he has a problem. Does he put on the shades or not? He needs the shades for Shabbos. If he puts on the shades, the box says, it's a mechila. You don't put on the shade. Like, what are you supposed to do? Mechila, that's right. I cannot ask for any of the shades. I'm done. Again, I have 100 nuts. You deliver 99. I use even one of them. It's a mechila on everything that's
I
missing.
have to pay for the one I didn't get, but I have no time to return it. To
No, I'm done. No, I have to pay also. If
what I didn't get.
No, because it's one mecca, right? One mecca, and it's one chiv that you owe.
The Rash was not right.
No, not in the Rash. I'm going in the world of Ramban. I owe you $100 for 100 nuts. You use one nut.
Then you have time to stumble.
We could talk about it. No, it's a different sugya. We could talk about it. But 100 nuts, you use one, you're done. According to the world of the Bach's Ramban, you are done. You use it, you are done. Now, so here, how do you deal with this? So you go like this, and if you hold like the Rashba that you prorated, so the shades will remain mine forever. So then, if I use it, it's not a mechila, so I could gladly put up the shades without permission. I don't need the seller's permission. If you go like the Ramban, if I use even one shade, it's a shtamshis in the mechila. I waive every time I have for the shades that are missing, and I'm done. What do I do? So, if I'm muksik in the money, I'll taina kimli, I go like the Rashba, because again, there's no achra, it's fake dina, and therefore my ishtamshis is not a mechila, but if you're muksik, then you could taina. Now, so against the money and against those shades that are missing, right, the seller was holding on to those shades that are missing. So they could taina kimli that you use some of the shades, you're meichel the rest of the shades. So memela, I'm not giving you any more shades. We could argue, we could say that since the shades that I do have, I'm muksik in, maybe that gives me the right to use it, and I'm not a shosh loy medas on it, and memela the seller can't taina kimli like the Ramban. It gets a little complicated, but it's not so partial. I want to share with you a reason why I told the person he could use his shades. And that is, there's a Chuvas Avnei Neza, I'm leaving you off with this. There's a Chuvas Avnei Neza, and Avnei Neza says that this whole sugya, mido mishka minyan, is when you make a purchase on numerous items with one price. $100 for 100 nuts. $3 for a tissue box. I didn't say I'm buying a tissue for a penny. I'm buying 300 tissues, this box, for $3. But what happens when it comes, for example, by shades? You get an itemized bill. Well, the shades that are 24 inches and how many quantity is 22 windows equals, per window price, and it is. Then the larger windows, how many quantity? 6 times this amount equals this. When you get an itemized bill and every one is sold as an individual unit, even if there's one big tally to the entire bill, but since it's sold per unit, the Avnei Nezer says that this is not midu mishkol minyan. What you really did was, unknowns to you and to the seller, you made 34 purchases on 34 shades. You didn't make one purchase buying 34 shades. You made 34 individual purchases, maybe at one time, but 34 individual purchases because the way it was itemized, it's an itemized bill per shade, per price. So then it's each purchase is on its own, it's independent of one another. The shades that I got, the sale was complete, I could use them. The shades I didn't get, didn't even start. There's no chsar midu mishkol minyan, it's a different thing.
All the windows are the same size.
Sorry?
All the windows
But even the way the invoice comes in is this is the type of shade, this is the size, this is the quantity, this is the price, and they go per shade. You're right. If we could have that, depending how it's structured, but if it's sold per shade, means when I sell you 100 nuts for $100 is one thing. If I sell you 100 nuts, but I'm telling you it's $1 a nut, so then the Avnei Nezer says that really you did 100 purchases. You did a nut for $1 times 100. You did 100 purchases all in one shot per nut.
When you buy something 10 pounds, you pay for each pound.
So if you could break it up like that, but let's say by the tissue box, when you're buying 300 tissues, there you're buying one box of tissues, you're not buying it per tissue, you're buying one box. So it depends on the item. Today everything's computerized. Today more and more, basically the items are per unit. Everything is itemized. So in that case, the Avnei Nezer holds that it's not a world of midu mishkol minyan. It's individual purchases, and each purchase has to be done b'fnei atzmai. But just to recap, Rabbi, so here we have another nafkamina between the Ramban and the Rashba, and that is if you mishtamish, if it's a mechila. If like the Ramban, if you mishtamish, like the box says, it would be a mechila. If you go like the Rashba, that you prorate the deal, then the shtamshis is not a mechila. All right, Rabbi Sain. Good?
They say they actually wanted to sell 16 shades. You just see the one box they come in, the one box will be the seller.